sneaks forward some more. Then up ahead, as you go around this corner, you can see sort of a faint greenish blue light. Terps is dragging the rat, so it's kind of keeping her a little bit noisy. And Kuntuny is trying to be quiet as well, but she's just not a very quiet thing, and her robes are kind of going... They sound kind of like corduroy pants. Nevertheless, you walk forward, and a tunnel opens. And you step out into the tunnel, and the ground immediately becomes much more marshy, and everyone can smell... Well, it smells like a marsh. And the ground is soft beneath your feet, and the tunnels widen, and it opens up. Motes of spores float around in the air. There's a mist that kind of lays low around the ground, and you can see the walls of an ancient temple, and you can see here and there mushrooms and other plants. Kuntuny narrows her eyes.
I'm seeing what looks like people off in the distance. Do you recognize this place?
Well, certainly I've never been here.
But does this look like how you expected it to?
Honestly, I didn't know what to expect.
Well, Malcolm, it appears that you've been building over another place.
Well, just like everything in the world, people were building centuries past, people will build centuries in the future. Old places are buried and forgotten. And Kuntuny just kind of frowns and says, Myconids, I should have known. She turns to you. They live underwater, or under the ground, of course, and they need water to live, so they must have blocked off and diverted the water to make their home here.
They look like fungus people, so I'm guessing that they would hate fire. And we've got fire and light. And we've got quite a bit of both.
If you know how to make sunlight, that would be very effective.
Maria kind of tilts her head and thinks, letting her spell through her head. I can do lightning.
Anything will be a help. It depends upon how many there are and if any of the sovereigns are here.
Sovereigns?
They're the ones to watch out for. They're the largest ones, and they shoot out spores. They can make you hallucinate. They can make you paralyzed. So watch out for the big ones. The little ones shouldn't be too much problems. The adult ones, I think, will not be too difficult, but if any of the sovereigns are here, this might be interesting.
Are these sovereigns things that look like they have cones for heads?
Look like they have cones for heads? I mean, they come in all sorts of shapes.
Bigger than any of us?
Yes.
Okay, I'm guessing what I'm seeing isn't a sovereign then.
No, that looks like just a sprout.
Well, I'm seeing two things that look like red cap mushrooms with legs, and then further back, they look kind of like people holding staves, wearing robes, and with cones for heads.
Maria's squinting and kind of nodding along with this.
Ah, you have good eyes.
Terps is going to speak up and go, wait. So they diverted the water because they needed the water to live. So we have to kill this group of people so your people can live, as opposed to making some kind of an agreement with them to where you both share the water?
Yo, if they're down for that, that might not be a bad idea.
I don't know how you think it would be possible to share the water. The city needs the water, and they need the water to live in. But the city had the water first. They're the ones who cut off the water to the city.
It's entirely possible there's enough water to to go around. If perhaps we could split some of it off, but not all of it. But we're not going to know until we try and communicate with one of these things first. So the closest one I can see is to our left. So should we go around the room, starting with that one, see if they can talk?
We seem to have surprise on our side at this time. If we try to talk to them, we will lose that. The one with a cone in his head is an adult. The one between them and us is a sovereign. Our best chance of defeating something like that is to hit it hard and fast, and not give it a chance to paralyze us first.
Kuntuny, do you know? Have you ever heard of anybody making peace with these creatures, or if they even have the intellect needed to do so?
I can't say that I've ever heard of anyone communicating with them in such a way. I do not think they are unintelligent. I believe that they can communicate, although they cannot talk the way you would think they talk. They talk through their spores.
Oh, shit's about to get trippy.
So even if they had any sort of inclination toward peace, if we can't communicate with them, then it's all moot.
Well, that's true of anyone, isn't it?
I don't suppose anyone has any other ideas for establishing some kind of a dialogue.
Well, they will understand you if you talk to them. And then they will use their spores to communicate back to you. I am just saying, our best opportunity, if it comes down to a fight, is to attack them while they're spread out and in surprise. If we start talking to them and they start gathering, we'll be surrounded, and that will make it much more difficult.
Then why not skip the talking for once and let us attack?
That is what I'm suggesting.
Hey.
Those other people that when we first got in, when we talked with them, we managed to get by without a fight.
Yes, we just had to terrify them first, I believe. Or are you talking when I was gone?
The kobolds knew we could kill them easily. These we cannot kill so easily, and they know that.
And just know that their first response to anything is to kill it.
Welcome to the 20th century.
Did I kill you? Obviously not my first response to anything. But to vermin and to things that are keeping me from entering back into the city and killing my people because they have no water? Yes.
I think
But
what
we're going
was
to kill these people as opposed to trying to negotiate with them so both sets of people can survive.
I think part of the problem here is I don't know that these are exactly people. What you're saying is that they know how to talk, but they're more like kind of freaking plants or something. I don't know.
And we don't know if they're parasitic, if they actually are of use. We don't know anything of them, but the only thing so far we know is that their spores can kill you.
Yeah.
And there's not much of anything left. If we did talk to them, any chance of talking to them will get us into a position where we could get hurt.
Well, they can paralyze us with spores, and they can communicate with spores. We can't really take the risk. They could seem to talk and all the while be consuming us.
It's hard to know how many are here, but I do feel that If we do not take the initiative, then it will if it comes to fighting, it will be an impossible fight.
Terps, I don't like it either, but we tried with the kobolds and it worked. We at least tried here, but I don't think it's going to work.
Unless you had some type of shielding that you could put on, then maybe, perhaps. But unless you have that, I doubt that it would be useful. It would be too dangerous for once.
In good conscience, I can't attack the people who are trying to live, especially if we don't have someone trying to communicate with them first.
And we don't know if they're people.
Deliberately to harm Kuntuny's people, then maybe I could see, but we don't know that's what they're doing.
Well, what other choice do we have? We don't have a way to communicate them. And restoring the water to the city is what we came to do.
You do have a way to communicate with them. It just means that more of them will come along while you're communicating.
A way of communicating that doesn't involve spores that could potentially kill us.
Well, yes.
Okay, fine. You stay here. I will go and talk with them. Then she'll shift to her centaur form and start walking forward.
Oh, this is lovely. This is fantastic.
We need to follow her.
No,
Yes,
We're not gonna.
we can't let her be too far ahead, or she will be by herself when she's surrounded.
then if I will go and try to talk to them. If they kill me, then they kill me. Then you know that they can't be reasoned with, and you can kill them.
We're not gonna let them kill you. If you talk to them, then we lose the element of surprise anyway, so we're all going.
As you get to that point, the little sprout looks at you and goes, "Eep!" and starts running. And you see the larger one kind of churn in that direction.
My point was they didn't need to know you were here, and you just all walked forward. And so now they do know you're here.
Oh no, I am letting you die on this ship if this is really what you want.
Come on.
Kuntuny will stand right there. And she might need to get a little closer. She's going to stand right here. So as you keep going forward, the little sproutlets keep running farther, and then the big one, who is a very big one, steps forward.
You know, Terps is going to keep walking towards him.
Well, here's your chance, Terps.
She'll bow at the waist. And say, I would like a chance to speak to you about your home and the problems it's causing for, and then she'll wave at Kuntuny, her people.
He looks down at you. Kind of gives a sort of Treebeard sort of, And then he kind of waves a hand, and sure enough, a spore pops off, kind of floats through the air, and lands on your rump. And then you can hear his voice. Who are you, little people?
And she'll wave at Kuntuny again. Her people are suffering because you've blocked off all the water, and they no longer have water to live.
He looks at Kuntuny, then looks back at you, and kind of body shakes a little bit, and kind of you understand it to be a shrug. They can get water elsewhere. This is our home.
They're not in a position to be able to get water elsewhere. You took the water that they were using to live on and diverted it to use yourself. Can't you just spare some, split the water so the two of you can coexist?
Split our home?
Split the water going, because all the water was going to them, now all the water is going to you. Split it so that you get water for your home and they get water for their home.
Not enough. We have sprouts. He waves his hand at the little tiny mushroom that are still scurrying away.
And they have children also that you've now condemned to die.
They can get water elsewhere. This is ours.
They can't get water elsewhere. This was the only water they had.
Impossible. There's water all over. They just need to go find their own. This is our home.
How long has it been your home?
You get a sort of questioning note from him. He doesn't appear to have a concept of time that would be able to answer that properly.
This water was going to them before it was coming to your home, so it is their water, not yours, if you want to think of it that way. You've taken their water.
Water does not belong to anyone. It is our home.
Exactly. So you need to let them have water that they use for their home that you took from them.
There is no water for them. This is our home. They can get water elsewhere.
They cannot get water elsewhere. What are you not understanding? Are you really that much of an idiot that you can't understand when I explain simply that this was the only water they have, and now you have destroyed the only water they have by taking it from them?
We care not for them. We care only for our home. They can find their own home, their own water. If their home doesn't have enough water, then they can move to where there is. Just like we have to. Just like anyone has to.
And it doesn't bother you that when you come and you take water to make your home, you've killed other ones because you've taken the water that they were using?
We know nothing about other people. All we know is we found our home.
Terps is going to turn looking at everybody. Just let me die because I want out of this world. And she'll turn and walk off.
Is that spore still on her?
Yeah.
Terps, stop. We need to get that thing off you.
She'll flick it with her tail.
It comes off easily enough. They don't do anything else. They just stand there and watch. They don't make any aggressive moves or anything.
I get that you're upset right now, but we all
No, you don't. You do not understand a damned thing about me. None of you do. You talk about how terrible your world is and how terrible this world is. Well, I am ready to leave it.
Not everything in this world or ours is horrible. But right now isn't the time to talk about this. Whatever it was they said to you, that obviously didn't get anywhere, so now we have to do something else.
Yeah, y'all can fight all you want. I'm done. It's either kill these people so her people can live, or let these people live and her people die. That's not a choice I'm going to make.
Kuntuny says, well, we don't have to kill them. All we have to do is remove the blockage so the water starts flowing again.
Girl's got a
But
point.
That will kill them.
It
I
won't.
know that that'll kill them.
It won't kill them. They won't. They don't live in the water. They just need it as their home, and probably they will stop it back up again. But at least now we know what the deal is. For now, my city just needs water. If we burst this dam, it will take a long time for them to rebuild it and stop the water again, and maybe by then we can find a different solution.
So, Tony, from the way you are, I'm assuming your people are similar to you, correct? Their solution is going to be to come here and kill all of these people so they don't have to deal with having to come back and free the water again. Can you tell me that's not what's going to happen?
Honestly, it depends upon which party is in power. If the Blue Wheel Party is in power, then it will be a peaceful solution. If the War Party is on top, then it will not. If it's one of the 700 other parties, then it just depends. But draining the water will not kill them. It will make them unhappy for a bit until they can stop up the water or go somewhere else.
And that's the thing.
And then why did you want to kill them from the beginning? Why didn't you just say, why don't we just stop the water from flowing through here?
There was, to me, too much of a risk to talk to them when they could be surrounding us while they were talking. It turns out my fears for that were unfounded. They did not attack, and I am grateful for that. You are wiser than I.
But if we try and destroy that thing while they're all just standing there staring at us, they might retaliate.
They certainly might. I suggest we destroy it as quickly as possible and then run.
The mushrooms, they could probably find more water better than, elves can or something.
Hell, they could go to the lake where the seals are. They could make that their new home.
Only if the Sears Lake went underground. They can't handle the sunlight, so they would not be above ground.
Let's at least see if they're amenable to the idea. Yuna's gonna step over, gesture at the nearest sovereign, and say, "I would speak with you."
Steps forward with a big pondering step. And again waves a hand, and the spore floats out and just lands on your forehead, slightly askew from center. And hear his voice. Speak.
We have no desire to drive you out of your home. If we were to clear away the blockage for this water, would you still be able to use this area as your home?
He tilts his head, and his features, even though it's not really a typical face, but it kind of crinkles up in a sort of facey sort of look of, well, not very happiness. The water is our home.
The water is your home, and it's someone else's home.
No, it is our home. They can find their own water.
If we were to clear away that blockage and get them to look for another place for you to live, would you be agreeable to that?
They can find a different place to live. This is our home.
Why should they be forced to find a new home, and you should not?
This is our home. Why should we be forced and they should not?
If that blockage were clear and the water was able to flow and you stayed here, would you still be able to use this water as your home?
If the water was gone, how could we use the water?
The water wouldn't be gone. It flows through here.
No.
So you didn't just block up the water, you also diverted it here?
This is our home. Yeah, you can tell this is a sort of a grotto-y sort of thing, and off to the right, as far as you can see, it kind of widens into kind of a lake, but it does not look at all like the culvert. So above the blockage in the culvert, it's clear that this is another sort of side passage to the culvert. It's not the water that would not run through here and into the culvert. This would drain completely.
So you made this place your home by diverting the water.
He just looks at you. Kuntuny kind of steps this way.
While Yuna is still talking, V is going to be looking around the place, still kind of agitated, and slowly tapping with her staff. And she's looking at a lot of the debris that's lying around in the crane and all the building equipment. And slowly the staff just gets into this rhythm of tapping. And her expression kind of softens, but you could see that it's now turning into thought. She calls out to Yuna and says, "Tell them I wish to go deeper into their cave."
Would you allow us to go deeper into this cave to take a look at something?
He says, "What thing?"
V, what is it you wanted to look at?
Some way to divert some of the water, or in any way to be able to get something here. Piping, as you would say.
Yuna's going to take her dagger and she's going to gesture to the ground in front of the sovereign, and she's going to carve out a basic Y shape, and she'll say, "We'd like to see if it's possible that this could be done. Water for you, water for them. One source that feeds all."
We need our water. They can get their own.
You'll have your water. See?
Not if you're giving some to them.
Do you really need all the water?
Yes, it's our home.
Why do you need all the water? And don't tell me because it's your home.
Because it's our home.
Why does your home need all the water?
Because we need to raise our sprouts.
Do you really need all the water to raise your sprouts?
We need more water to raise our sprouts.
This isn't enough?
Eventually not. Eventually we will grow bigger.
And what will you do then?
If we run out of space, then we find a new home. But we are not there yet.
It sounds like you did this before.
It's the way we live. Everyone finds their own home.
So you find a place with water, you make it your home, even if it was already someone else's home. You let your people grow in size until the amount of water available is too little for you, and then you move on to conquer another source of water. Do I have that right?
So when your home becomes too small, you do not move to a bigger one?
Not all of us are in the habit of taking the homes of others when we need more space. Some of us prefer, and Yuna's going to tap at her drawing in the ground, to share.
We did not take from anyone. We just live in our home.
If this was already someone's home, and your being here means they can't live anymore, then you've taken their home.
He reaches forward and flicks the spore off your head.
Well, V, to answer your question, they're not exactly keen on the idea of us looking any deeper into the dam.
Yeah, well, he's just chilling right now. Quite frankly, yeah, I think I'm thinking these guys could probably look for more places to live, just probably a lot better than our drow folk.
We should put something up at least once we clear this dam, so they don't do it again. That way you would at least still save them, if we are still wanting that, and they can move on their own and leave you to your water.
Maria, let's have a huddle with everybody else, and we'll say to the Sovereign, thank you for taking the time to talk, and then she'll go back towards Terps and Van Kuntuny.
Kuntuny says, why don't we go back through the tunnel to that first tunnel by the culvert?
Yeah, might be a good idea.
All right.
Ria's just gonna kind of pat Terps on the back. I'm sorry, Terps.
You shouldn't be. She has her wish. No one was killed.
I'm thinking get the water flowing again and just, leave them be. They're probably gonna fuck off. I'm figuring if they found this water, they can find more water.
Are you all heading along the tunnel?
Oh, you meant that other tunnel.
Yeah, she meant back to the original tunnel that you first came in so you could talk, in private.
All right, yeah, we'll just move over there.
All right, you get to the tunnel, and as you presumably go into the tunnel, you notice Kuntuny's no longer with you, and that's when you hear it. A huge crack and a rumbling sound.
Katoni?
Oh no.
Huh.
Oh.
And then smashing and sudden rush of water.
Tricky lady.
Orale. Yeah, let's get to the high ground here.
And just as you get into the tunnel, assuming all of you do,
Terps, come on.
you see a huge wave of water coming forward, pushing gigantic rocks ahead of it. The rocks that were a moment ago covering up the entrance. And it surges forward, and you're wondering, this much water with this much pressure, pushing these gigantic rocks. And behind them, as the water passes, or the rocks pass by you, and the water rushes up, you see Kuntuny flying behind it, kind of laughing. And she pushes with her hand. You hear her yelling, Teshko son shom! Kosa. And the rocks shove forward again, just bringing and pushing the water with them. The force of the water is pushing the rocks. She's pushing the rocks. And they go rushing past you and down the tunnel.
I don't think we're going to have much of a choice here very soon.
Well, I thought the choice was just taken from us.
Now the culvert, I should explain, it doesn't just drop into the culvert there. There is like a walkway that's elevated above where the water is that runs along the sides of it. So you could follow the tunnel down if you so desired.
To start off with, Una will at least go to where the walkway meets where we are right now, and she'll just call out, "Hey, hope it didn't kill anyone. That looks badass, by the way."
And now you can see farther down, she's kind of stopped, and the darkness of the tunnel is slightly lighter towards the end. It looks like she's at the end of the culvert and watching as the giant boulders tumble over the side, followed by the sweep of water, and then you can just hear her echoing along the tunnel, just laughing, almost a cackle, and you can hear her yelling, "Yes! Take that, you yum!"
Are we hearing sounds of battle as well?
You know, you don't hear the sounds of battle, you just hear the sounds of water. And then, a moment later, you hear just a tremendous boom, crashing sound over and over again as those boulders hit whatever is beneath this culvert.
Without hesitation,
Okay,
V is sprinting towards Kuntuny.
Yeah, Yuna's gonna follow right behind her, at least just to see what the hell's going on.
Yep.
When you go along the edge, the water is calmed down somewhat, so you can, a little bit wet where it's splashed over, but you can make your way to the end. She's kind of floating in the air about 20 feet ahead, and this is what you see, a giant city. And as you look down, you see not a place where you might have expected to see water going down to fill a reservoir, but buildings directly below, now smashed to pieces by the boulders that just came crashing down on them.
Tony, did you mean to do that? And
Thank you, my friends. I now have the revenge on the yum that I've been needing. They are no more. Well, mostly no more. I will take care of the rest soon enough.
That was your plan all along?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nah. Now I can be with my son again, and I can bring my family back again. Thank you, my friends. She takes one of the stones that you gave her and tosses it to you and says, "I owe you much. If you ever need me, you can get a hold of me."
He's looking on in horror. She can't really speak even when she grabs the stone.
Yeah, you look below and it's just a horror scene. This building is destroyed. There's bodies floating away, washing away in the water.
How many innocent people did you just kill? And what about the mushrooms?
I killed 0 innocent people. I killed the yum, almost every single one of them, if my aunt got them gathered like she was supposed to. Speaking of the mushroom people, I suggest you leave before they come back out. They won't be happy.
yeah, Aunt Maria's just kind of sputtering in angry Spanish, like just what the.
V is just still standing there in just pure horror, and to everyone, you just kind of start seeing her shake and her legs give out from under her. And she's just staring in horror at Kuntuny. Because there's just this moment in her eyes that she can't really say yet. And she's just staring. And there's just this heartbreaking crack in her voice as she says, "You lied.
I never lied.
You didn't say you'd do this."
You didn't ask.
You not plug your ears, cause I'm like this close. I'm this close. I'm gonna go full abyssal on this bitch.
Turks just looks at everybody and gives them, "I told you so," look, and starts walking off.
We need to go. This place might be unstable, and those mushroom people might be coming. We need to get out of here, or at least to a safe location. Mountain, grab V. We gotta go.
V is just still sitting there. She's just looking to Kuntuny. She's like, "You're a woman of science. This is not what you do. This is not what you do.
You did a great service. You've destroyed one of the most evil families ever."
This is not what you do."
Maria's just like kind of tugging on Lady V.
Kuntuny smiles and says, "Again, if you have need, contact me." And then she waves her hand and says, "Etch Kuntunse," and then she disappears.
All right, so we're all leaving then.
V's still on the ground.
Well,
just staring.
Mountain should still be with us, so Yuna asked Mountain to pick V up.
Oh, I see, yes. Yeah, Mountain will do that. And you'll hightail it out there. You see, as you're getting closer to the tunnel up ahead where the crash was, it's now pitch black. I mean, you can't see through it even with the dark vision.
What?
Maria discovers there's new words and new languages she knows how to swear in.
That would mean it's magic darkness.
Yes. You kind of figure that Kuntuny, to kind of delay the Myconoids, put the darkness there, so they would have a hard time getting through.
Huh. All right. Well, we keep moving. We just
Marcus-
go. We go.
All right, you get back up the tunnel and you're heading out, and as you go, the sound of the water fades. A moment later, you're back out of the smaller tunnel that led to that and into that main tunnel, and you can see Jelric's scratch on the wall that he made when you guys turned in there, with an arrow pointing back the way you came.
Let's at least just, I don't know, maybe go to just a little ways before the last weird room.
All right, so you go up the tunnel for about 30 minutes, and you see the glowing light of a room ahead of you. How far back do you want to stop before you?
I mean, I figure we want to get a good look at what's in there without, getting too close, just in case.
All right. Well, as you approach, you see there's large marble steps leading upward into the room, and there's 2 statues of what look like soldiers carrying spears in front of them, kind of horizontal in front of them. But from the slope of the stairs, you can't tell what's in the room above.
Before there was anything, there were the gods. As with all beings, there were those who were good, and those who were evil. After a amount of time that cannot be calculated, the forces of good prevailed in a final confrontation known as the Shea Fasta. Only 5 of the gods survived. Samu, the light's mightiest warrior, the god of battle in the forge. Uktak, goddess of life and healing. Hukai, goddess of fertility and the harvest. Umo, god of the seas and the waters. Tamelnept, god of death and the underworld. With the dark gods defeated, these 5 bent to the task of creating, first homes for themselves on the outer planes, then a home for the creations on the material plane. Thus it was that Henya was made. The gods walked among their creation and were glad, and lent aid where they deemed it most use. And they are with us still, watching over their creation with all the care of a goat herd over his goats. The gods gave up everything to make the universe safe for you. The least you can do is give a little of your bounty back to them. Visit your local temple today. May the gods smile upon you.
Anyone want to recap what happened last time for all our thousands of fake listeners and watchers?
Are we on stream right now?
Yep.
Are there any viewers?
No. Nobody cares about us.
I mean, I've been going back and watching the old videos from time to time.
It's exciting stuff.
Always weird hearing my own voice.
Yeah, that's an issue. Nobody likes their own voice.
So, we last met at the Spencer estate, was it?
That was pretty Albert Wesker.
Thank you. There are friends of mine who love that one to pieces whenever I bring him out. But yeah, so we were still stuck in this room. We tried everything we could possibly think of to get out of here. And as our options dwindled, we got increasingly antsy. At least 3 of us, V, Una, and Terps volunteered themselves to be the one to sit on the throne that V discovered was a booby trap.
All
But in
3
the
did it
end,
at the same time, which was hilarious.
yes, there was a bit of a butt-pushing contest between the 3 to see which of them would sit on the death throne. In the end, Una was able to convince Terps and V to let her do it, and she did. And Una seemingly perished, being stabbed to death by all the spikes that came out of the throne and bleeding out in front of everybody.
To be clear, she did perish.
Yeah, she did. But to her experience, she was brought somewhere else, and she had a conversation with someone and was trying to give them an answer to a question. and then she came back. And once she did, the room started to shake, and the statue that was behind the throne came to life as a ruby minotaur. And it's been roaring at us. We started roaring back at it, and here we are now.
All right. So while we're waiting for Ambro, we will continue with the screaming contest. Except we'll just skip Mountain's turn. So let's see. It was Mountain's turn. That means it's actually the Minotaur's turn. So Terps and V, charisma saves. The Minotaur
That'd be a 2.
That would be a what?
A good old 2.
All right. So he seems to be facing more towards V this time, so Terps isn't really affected by it, but V, you're kind of pushed back a little bit by the ferocity of the roar, and your charisma saves from here on out will be at -1. And then it is actually V's turn to respond.
And it's intimidation, correct?
Intimidation, yes.
Yeah, after the yell, there's a little bit of a shift in her face, but obviously, just with how everyone has been and how the entire situation has been, she's still just really kind of pissed. So, tap of the staff, puffs the chest, and does it again. And that is a 10 plus 2, so 12.
All right, so you steam your roar out there, or roar your steam, or however it works. And again, the creature seems to take half a step back, somewhat surprised at the ferocity of your taunting. Terps, your turn. Terps, roar. I thought you were going to turn into a cat for this, but she's going at full centaur, but it doesn't seem to affect the creature. Maybe because its shoulder is still kind of pointed towards you, or away from you. Maybe because it rolled a 19. And then it's the creature's turn again. So each of you with a charisma save, -1 for you, V.
11. And that's with the -1.
So this time, neither of you are really affected by it. Maybe it's focusing on Mountain, but it does not really frighten you. Does not really hit you this time with the same ferocity as it did last time, because he only rolled a 5. So V's turn again.
Ready? 15.
And again, you're able to flummox this giant stone ruby minotaur somehow, and you can hear its roar as it responds. It's sounding a little hoarse, but not like a pony. Get a little hoarse, get it?
Pretty good.
But it tries to regain its stony composure and roars back, but now its voice is so charisma saves again. He's sounding more like an old man than a massive monster.
13.
And again, this time his roars seem to be getting weaker, and you're able to just deflect it aside with your coolness because you're so cool. So Terps, your turn.
I'm just going to shift the cat this time, because why not?
Switching to the cat, and the cat's roar seems to take it by surprise. And once again, it stumbles back as if concerned. His turn, it just went. So go ahead, V.
Alright, this time V, still yelling, still puffing steam, also slamming the staff into the ground and just trying to, like, put as much sound towards the Minotaur to scare him. And, 19.
Again, the monster appears to be taken aback because it rolled a natural 1. It actually takes a full step back in its uncertainty at what it is facing. Zen, those crates are those old backpacks and things that you found the meat in. And the monster has somehow, even though it's made of stone, lost its voice. It goes, it's trying, but you have successfully made it lose its voice. I don't know how that works with a stone, but even magic can be worn down, I guess.
Is it over? Did the fat lady sing?
Everyone looks at each other and wonders if they should make the obvious joke at Yuna's expense. Obviously, that was out of character.
I was waiting to see if anyone was actually going to follow with that.
I just kind of like the idea that we occasionally hear this sassy narrator.
Monster just looks annoyed, hefts its giant stone great axe, and looks like it's ready to move on from the verbal part of the confrontation. So, Maria, you're up.
Maria starts, as all this shouting's going on, they're roaring back and forth. Maria finally just kind of unplugs her ears, slithers forward a little bit, partly so I'm just more within range of stuff, and, instead of, throwing a shoe, she decides to throw I suppose a second level witch bolt.
Alright.
Because that shit hurts.
That shit does hurt.
Actually, it's 30 feet.
Didn't you make the witch bolt look like a shoe?
Oh, there it is.
Well, that hits. So the lightning flashes out from her hand and smacks into the statue
Leaves a shoe-shaped mark.
with a shoe-shaped mark and chips off a piece of the stone on its shoulder.
And it just keeps going.
Yes, this is the Palpatine move right here. Alright, anything else?
Nope.
Terps, your turn.
And shoot them with their crossbow.
That hits. She takes aim with the crossbow and poof! Opposite side of the witch bolt, poof, right into the stone and sticks there. And it goes, "Ah!" Which you imagine is supposed to be a roar, but you've taken its roar away. Zen.
I say, Jim, a thought occurs. It seems rather strange that our party mates were able to somehow damage this creature by vocalizing at it. Perhaps it has some sort of sonic-based vulnerability. Yeah, I think I get what you're going for here. Jim reaches into his pocket and takes out his diamond and casts Chromatic Orb of the Thunder variety at level 2.
Good lord.
Add some more dice, why don't you?
So the orb shoots out and smacks right into its chest. And you just see stones flying out, shimmering in the air, and sort of a slight red glow. 19 thunder damage, and there's a loud boom. Maria, should have mentioned this when you did that the witch bolt did not do as much damage as you may have felt like it should have.
Yeah, that just pisses her off, and she's, again, cursing.
Anything else, Jim?
Probably just step one space to the south, and that'll be it.
Lady V.
What's the distance from V to the Minotaur?
Looks like about 15 feet.
I have an idea.
Uh-oh.
We love ideas.
Yes, but this might be dangerous.
Well, that's the best kind of idea.
Best ideas.
Alright, so V is now, even with the screaming match done, the floodgates have practically unleashed. All that anger, frustration, just every emotion that she has felt since she has been not only here but back at home and back again. It's just coming out. She's screaming, she's yelling. Like, you can tell that she wants to be yelling at the group, but also the Minotaur is a great point of anger. And so it's all going to him. She just kind of brings it all together and throws her hands out, slams her foot down, and she casts Thunder Wave directly at the Minotaur. And does he beat the 13 or not?
He does not. All right, we're going to use this guy as the creature. Now, what it does do is it knocks him back, but that also takes him out of Maria's range. So your Witch Bolt now fails. It's gone.
Maria starts shouting as the sparks the lightning bolt kind of flickers and then sputters out, and also shouting at Lady V because that was a damn close shave and her ears are still ringing.
Yeah, Lady V is not responding. Instead, she's just standing there, just furious.
Does Lady V do anything else?
No, because everything else requires an action and it's not bonus.
Well, you could move technically, but
Yeah, but just stay.
all right. Falling Mountain, your turn.
He would like to hit the thing. If he can get close enough to hit the thing. Jeez Louise.
Certainly should be able to get close enough to hit the thing. It's only 20 feet away, so you leap over the chest, onto the dais where it used to be standing, but now it's off the dais.
And he's going to do so in a rage. Because barbarian.
Rage!
All right. What in the world is going on here?
I don't know.
Seriously?
I'll just take. I think you should take the 18.
Well, it's going to be the first roll.
Ah, fair enough.
I am very carefully clicking only once, and yet.
It might be set to advantage or something. I don't know. Sometimes these things have a weird thing, but it's no problem if it rolls twice and you only meant to roll one. We just take the first roll. No problem. All right. I assume you're using the Giant Slayer Great Axe.
Yes.
This doesn't count as a giant, so it doesn't get the extra damage. In case you're wondering.
I figured, but you know.
But that does hit. So damage. Unless I guess it has the damage underneath there.
I'm not sure. Does it include his rage damage, though? That's the question.
Oh, that's a good point. Probably not. So go ahead and. How much is the hate damage?
the hate damage.
The hate damage.
So
yes,
add
two more points to it. Yes. So you leap over the chest and run up to it, and you just right into it. And it just takes a huge chunk right out of its stony hip.
Yes.
Anything else?
No.
In that case, it's its turn. So it's gonna grunt, and it's gonna try to roar, but its voice is still gone. So it's, and then it's gonna lean down and attack you with one of its horns. Which is a 21 to hit. So he reaches down and gores you with one of its horns for 11 points of damage halved. So 5 points of damage. And then it lifts up its giant stone great axe and swings back at you, which is another 21. And does 16 points of damage halved, so 8 points of damage. Slams you in the shoulder with its horn, and it kind of rips a hole in there, and you're ah! And then it reaches back with the axe, boom, hits you across the chest with it, and it hurts a bit. But you're in such a rage you barely notice. And then it's Yuna's turn.
She's going to cast Fairy Fire on this thing.
Well, it rolled a 4. What was it, a dex?
Dex save.
So that's a 3. So it's now glowing, and it looks pretty, but it also looks much easier to hit. Anything else, Yuna?
Yeah, she's actually going to move over to where the chest is. Is she still sensing the divine stuff from it?
She is.
Okay. I already used her. Wait, no, free object interaction. She's gonna try and open the chest.
The chest remains sealed.
Ah, darn.
Why do I imagine in fandom a bunch of people all shout, "Yuna, get out of the way!"
We probably have to kill this first.
Yeah. She'll just back up. That's it for her.
All right, Maria's turn.
Maria's gonna yell at Yuna for a second there.
Yuna's just standing where she is, looking disappointed.
So, well, since Mountain's got him occupied now, Maria's gonna scoot forward a bit. I'll use up a sorcerer point and recast second level witch bolt.
To create a spell slot, you want a second one that will cost 3 sorcery points.
Okay, so for a second
So-
level spell slot, I have to use up all of them.
Correct.
Well, might as well. So yeah, Maria's gonna...
That's expensive.
Just-
Wow.
Well, it makes sense for a second level.
Yep. Oh no.
Oh no.
Shoot out with the witch bolt, and it slams into the wall behind it. Sending
Well,
marble flakes drifting over the Minotaur. So now it's got the sort of vague ruby skin, and it's got this pretty glow, and now it's got this like white dust shimmering around it. It looks sort of like a halo. It's the prettiest monster ever.
Maria's just cursing, and as their failed lightning bolt sparks through the air, it probably also sparks and dances, and little bits of static crackle over Mountain. Because you could also picture it as Mountain is going to burst out of that cloud of marble dust and chips with the flashes of an arcing lightning bolt dancing around their body.
Are you saying that the fallen mountain would come out of this cloud of marble dust as like an 80s rock band?
I was thinking more the cinematography of the new Godzilla movies kind of effect, but yes.
No, he's got the rock band hair, I believe, so that's a great one. And he's not wearing a shirt, and he's wielding an axe. I mean, it's made for this.
It's pretty. A giant pink man wielding an axe fighting a minotaur is just about as fucking 80s metal as it gets.
It sure does. This is the cover of Heavy Metal magazine right here. All right, so Terps, your turn.
Mountain is Babby.
Mountain is what?
I'm going to cast Cautious Hideous Laughter.
Mountain is Babby.
Is Mountain really the youngest in the group?
You're going to
I
need to
do
get
believe so.
much closer to cast that. You need to be within 30 feet. You don't have to be quite that close, but that's good enough. All right. And he rolled a 3. This die sucks. Well, it doesn't say that it's any... doesn't count as like a charmed or anything like that. So it skips over the immunities. He's just barely intelligent enough that it affects him. If he had been just a little bit stupider, it wouldn't have affected him. But you know what? If it can lose its voice roaring, it can fall on the ground laughing. So that's what it does. What were you about to say, Yuna?
I was gonna just interject into the silence. I don't even know why I said early 20s. I'm just gonna say he's 30.
All right.
With how his backstory goes, he's gotta be at least 30. So I'm just gonna say 30.
Sounds good. I was going to say he seemed like he'd probably be a little older, but maybe he was one of those kids who did really well in school and then didn't do quite as well outside of it or something. I don't know.
Oh, you mean me?
I didn't meet anyone.
Me!
So the statue.
This is a bad joke. She's like, when I was a kid, my mother told me I could be anyone I wanted to be. Turns out identity theft is a crime.
And somehow it starts going. And it literally falls down laughing, which is hilarious that it can this can happen to it.
Wouldn't it sound very, very strange and grainy and stony?
Well, it would, but its voice is gone, so it sounds different. Anything else, Terps?
Fuck.
No, that's it.
Elric, your turn.
If Jim tries to pun his way...
I just wanted to point out that Ambro designed a character that was immature, pink, like to scream, like to hit things. Ambo, did you either deliberately or unintentionally design a character based on your little potato?
I mean, my little potato is not pink, but you know, I see I see his future, perhaps.
So we zoom in on Jim, rapier at the ready. You see him take a step forward, starts to pull his short sword in order to get into the melee with Falling Mountain. Then he sees Falling Mountain get gored, and then slides with an axe, and he just sort of falters in his steps and puts the short sword away. I think that's wise, Jim. Perhaps we'll just work at things for distance? Yep. And Jim will fire another thunder-based chromatic orb, but this time at level 1.
Oh, if people haven't been, remember that you all have advantage on this thing. If people haven't been using that.
Well, no one's really attacked since then, but yeah. Wait a minute. Maria, did you go before or after Yuna? You
I
went.
don't remember. I'm very tired.
You were first,
Yuna's
so you went
last.
after. Yeah, that's right. You were first. So,
Yeah.
before we look at what Elric just did or rolled, roll again for your witch bolt. Maybe he'd been hitting it all this time, because he's right. You had advantage.
Oh, cool.
Never mind.
Duh.
Roll again, Jim, because a 10 does not. I mean, you have advantage on your attack. Although, actually, it's a ranged attack, so that would have disadvantage. But then it's cancel out.
Yeah, it's a straight roll, I believe.
Yep, you are correct.
What's giving it disadvantage?
Ranged attacks against prone.
Oh, right.
So good on you for remembering that. So the witch bolt and the chromatic orb. So I'm going to say you cast the orb right at the same time that Chirps did the hideous laughter thing, and it fell down, and the orb went right over its head.
Kind of sighs, and maybe he just has a little set down those steps there, like, just do their day. And that'll be my turn.
All right, V's your turn.
So he's currently on the ground, is that correct?
He is on the ground, yes.
And now that everyone is around him, it would be a bad idea to do another thunder wave, so let's not do that this time. What V instead is going to do is, of course, still just furious, but knowing that at least she could use this spell, she is going to cast first level Chaos Bolt directly at the Minotaur.
All right.
Which I believe is... So advantage, I would be able to roll twice, is that correct?
You are... No, because a ranged attack to a prone opponent is disadvantaged, but since you have advantage because of the glow, it cancels each other out, and it's just a regular single attack.
Alright, so in that case, it would be just the d20 plus the 5 for the hit DC, correct?
That is correct.
Alright, DC, don't let me down.
Don't let me down.
12 plus 5 is 17.
17 hits. So this warbly mass of chaotic energy, from where your angle is, hits its leg. So roll 2d8 plus 1d6.
5 for fire damage.
Alright, so it crashes into its leg. More stone flies out and a little burst of flame. Anything else?
No, not at this time. The only other option I have, and of course it takes one action, so no.